We used NBC as a funding vehicle. As a funding vehicle to purchase defunct airlines, to cause havoc when they deregulated the second time the airline industry. We picked up Frontier for a song and a dance. Every damn piece of equipment Frontier owned in Denver went into our hands. Okay? It shows in here how Southern Air Transport was created. Hasenfuss and Company.
Okay.
It shows that in here also, that when Hasenfuss was found by the Sandinistas,
In 1986.
yeah, guess what he had in his pocket? He had all the documents from national brokerage companies incorporated, and it showed that the airplane, the C-123, was one of ours. So there's little things like that that cause us to have problems. But it also, on the other side, gives a tremendous amount of validity to everything we say.
Yeah. One of the things that you described to me is just how you come up with some of the funding, and I find this pretty fascinating. You talked about the Germania Crondelet situation before, that you'd work with both of those. I'd like to explore that, if that's all right.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. How you got into the bank, and under the alias that you used, was it Emery J. Peden?
Well, that was one of them.
One of them. Okay, so you used several different aliases as being part of the national brokerage. Is it?
Chairman
Did
of
you
the
go?
board.
Chairman of the
Emery
board.
Peden.
Okay.
Robert Andrew Walker was one of the directors.
Okay.
Gunther Russbacher was one of the directors.
All three of them being you.
Peggy Jane Russbacher was one of the directors and president.
Okay.
Peggy Jane Neal was one of the directors. And P.J. Eden was also one of the directors.
I see. So all derivations of
CEO.
two people.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now explain.
And I had signatory powers for her. In other words, I
Oh, okay.
spelled out.
So you had it basically all rested with you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Of the 7 members of the board, we comprise the entire 7-member team.
Okay. And when you would to create funding, one of the methods that you use is basically going into the banks, S&Ls, whatever, and just scooping them clean. Would that be a a good analogy?
That's a misnomer.
Okay.
Let me back up, because you've got to understand
Sure. Go ahead.
what leads up to it.
Okay.
When I came back from Nam and the second time around and all this kind of nonsense, I had to make a decision how to get well, how to get put back into proper physical shape, and so on. So one of the things I did, I went back to school. I studied law, I studied financial planning, I studied things like that. So I wasn't going to fly, I wasn't in any physical condition to do any flight service, so I decided that school would be my next attempt, how to raise havoc in the world. I passed. I became a financial planner, a consultant for Prudential Insurance Company. In a matter of a short period of time, our district was #1 in the entire country. They wanted to make me into a district manager and give a district of my own, but it would have required a 50% reduction in salary. I said, no thank you, and I left the crew and went to work for Connecticut Mutual, where I took over as a GA, general agent, and formed my own brokerage company. This is where Clayton Financial Planning came to be, with Herb Smith. And then we decided we were going to get bold and start another one, National Brokerage Companies. I used money from the Hill Financial operation to fund National Brokerage Companies.
The Hill
Red Hill Savings and Loan, Red
Okay.
Hill, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you mentioned that. Okay. Yeah.
That is a Robert Andrew Walker and Donald Lutz operation.
Oh, okay.
Donald Lutz is still overseas. He's functioning. He works for International Distributing Corporation, which is a disbursement company for the agency on how to move money around the world. He's in Dublin, Ireland.
Okay. So that.
And he's also, I think he got 6 or 7 indictments against him here in the country.
But in approaching, say, like Germania and Crondelet, the reason I mention that, and these are just copies of articles which I've pilfered from the microfiche.
So you found what we did, huh? Is that what you're telling me?
I can't say I found what you did, but I found some tracks. Okay, first you have this particular article, whatever it is, okay, and this is from January 15th, 1986. Executive at Germania is moving on, okay? First of all, you have to eliminate the leadership, all right?
Oh, killed him?
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet him? Or?
For certain.
Okay.
You know who I put in place of them? Okay?
Who?
I'm trying to remember his name, from Commerce Bank out of St. Charles. put him in place to take this place. And John Biddlecombe was to become the next guy. But in the meantime, we ran into problems with our operation with Germany, because we were siphoning it out quicker than we could deal with.
Okay. Then this.
Bodner Bank, by the way, is going to be the next one to fall.
What is it?
Bodner Bank.
Bodner?
Yeah,
Bodner.
one of ours.
Okay. Bodner. What about Magna Bank?
Well, that's a big joke. Anyway. There's
Is
no
it?
money there. There never was.
Well, you see, that's
All
Magna.
they're dealing with are certificates of obligation
Okay.
that have a 20-year maturity, and they're all bogus. Every
Okay.
damn one of them.
Gotcha. I was suspicious of Magna because of how it grew. Basically,
Overnight.
Exactly. This is one of the strangest
This
things.
is the way we operate.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. The tracks.
Carondelet was the same way.
Okay.
I like that name, by the way. Carondelet.
Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds great. It's
Not as good as Community Federal Savings. Who's the next one to go on the chopping block?
Community Federal.
Sure.
Okay.
You know who they owned and operated by? Nobody knows it. Twin City Savings and Loan out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh, well, the next thing that I see, and this is kind of, yeah, Twin Cities, yeah. The next thing that I find is in May of '86, Germania acquires Missouri S&L. Okay? And this is similar to what I see with like a Magna Bank, the quick expansion.
Mhm.
And actually, Germania at the time was smaller than Missouri S&L.
Oh, absolutely. Germany only had 9 branches.
Yeah. And Missouri S&L was pretty sizable.
You
They
betcha
had
it
some
was.
problems, but nonetheless, it didn't make a lot of sense to me when that happened. And that was in May of '86.
I remember it very well. I don't even have to look at you.
Okay. Next thing you know, about a month and a half later, Germania ousts chairman after loss.
Yes. And
Okay.
then indictments followed.
And the indictment of, they ousted William Osborne. Did you know him also?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. It was Bill Osborne working for you people, or?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, obviously you'd be working, but.
He was working for me directly out of Clayton Financial Planning.
Okay.
So we had a lot of turnover at that time.
Okay.
We were burning him faster than we could room for the positions.
Okay. Now, what is the enticement of these people? I guess they had been in the banking business legitimately
$5
beforehand.
million parachute.
Oh, is that what it is?
How's
Okay.
If the fecal matter begins to hit the wall,
Yeah.
or the fan starts to distribute it more than evenly on the wall, give the man $5 million and a couple of suitcases, fresh set of documents, an international passport, and put a plane at his disposal. A la Besco.
Okay.
That's fine. I mean, we got a lot of these people running around overseas.
Okay. So you have that enticement, but you also have the enticement of, as this operation goes. They are also going to profit in it.
Sure.
Okay. So they're doing more than $5 million.
It's an unlimited money supply, Alex.
Okay.
When I have a corporation like this, a chartered S&L that is FDIC insured,
Yeah.
or one of the other, okay, do you know what I can do with it? We can take an S&L with a very decent deposit base, a good ratio of loans outstanding and amortizations over a period of years. And I can go back to the Fed and borrow 7 to 1 for every deposit dollar.
Okay, now explain. Yeah, you were talking about that before.
7 to 1. Yeah.
7 to 1
And it's
now.
on my credit rating, and I create my own because I call up Dun & Bradstreet and make my own credit rating.
Okay, so you've created this great credit rating,
Yeah.
and you have a certain amount of funding, money, whatever.
Let's assume I have $30 million.
Okay.
The moment that I take these $30 million of my deposit base
Mhm.
and pledge it back to the Federal Reserve, I end up 7 to 1 loan ratios. It's like the land bank. If the land bank owns $1 million, they can get as much as 15 million in matching funds from the Fed on a short-term, renewable note basis.
Okay.
Now, these $20 million accounts, or let's say $200 million accounts, they're secured by
FDIC.
FDIC. And they in turn are reinsured by private insurers, okay?
Okay.
Now, we also have insurance companies we work with. So we underwrite what we call a fiduciary package. And I'll write a $500 million fiduciary package, which means that if I have a $200 million deposit base, which is nothing in the banking business, if you get a bunch of little ones put together,
Yeah.
I can go back to the Fed and say, look here, folks, I need, let's say, $1.5 billion. And they will write a $1.5 billion charter draft against the Federal Reserve. This does not mean that there's money that's being transferred. All they're doing is agreeing that I am in possession of such an amount of credit.
Okay.
It's a letter of credit is what it means.
It's a letter of credit compounded by another.
But it's up to me to find the funds and create the money.
Sure.
So what do? With this big, huge letter of credit, which I show, again, as an asset, not as a liability, because it hasn't been used.
Sure.
I create limited partnerships and buy like crazy.
So people buy into.
Oh, absolutely. And I buy airplanes.
Okay. That you've actually created additional cash by allowing them to buy into.
Of course.
And you've created a cash base where maybe there's been hardly anything.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we've made money, beaucoup money. We've made so much money on the national brokerage operations that we had to keep diversifying just to keep it from showing. You have no idea. You need to get Rodney to give you the account transaction forms. My average that I pumped through my commerce account in St. Charles in the latter years of national brokerage, my own personal account, okay, I pumped through like $30,000, $40,000 salary per month. Per month. Legal. It was mine. And that was on my personal account. On my business account, I was averaging anywhere from 800 to 1.2 mil a month. Continual flow of funds. This doesn't mean that I had that much. It just means that we had this much in flow. It's the flow that gives me the strength to go back for more loan value.
Sure. And that, in turn, creates more flow.
Correct. So you rob Peter to pay Paul, and then you pay neither one of them.
True.
Did you ever do anything with motion picture limited partnerships? Or
Sure,
anything about
all
that?
the time. I have even written my own boilerplate for it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. All I did was create the limited partnerships and brought them out and sold them to my clients, okay, who in turn made the money available.
But nothing was produced.
Oh yeah, they produced all kinds of film. They're still doing it out there. They're using the boilerplates that I created years ago and just changing names and the type of properties that they're interested in. We use Credit Suisse, Credit Lyonnais. A lot of our work went through TriStar, through Harry Goldenberg in Denver, and such as that.
The relationship that NBC had, did they have a direct relationship with BCCI, or was that just, okay. I just want, because BCCI and NBC sounds like they're basically doing the same thing. And Robert Altman, just got off here recently.
Oh, I'm fully aware of that.
No great surprise. I mean, there's no justice there.
Clark Clifford will never be tried because
Sure.
he's too ill.
True. Yeah. I wonder if he really underwent
There's
heart
a lot
surgery.
about that.
Yeah, I could imagine.
The symbiotic relationship between NBC and BCCI, BNL, Banco del Lavoro, Nazionale del Lavoro, the Vatican Bank, they're all in here.
Okay.
You've been watching a special broadcast of The Mystery of a Covert Criminal Conspiracy, a 1993 interview of Gunther Russbacher that was conducted by Alex Horvat on behalf of Probe Magazine. Join us next time for another installment in this special video series that has been brought to you by Rumor Mill News Radio. And tell your friends.